Stop everything you're doing right now because what I'm about to tell you could completely change your plans to work in America. In February 2026, two major U.S. states just hit the emergency brake on H-1B visa hiring. And if you're planning to come to America or you're already here on a work visa, this affects you directly. We're talking about immediate freezes, confused employers, and thousands of skilled workers asking what happens to their American dream. Now, the next few minutes could save you months of wasted effort and help you understand exactly what's happening, who's really affected, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to protect your future in the United States. Don't skip ahead because missing even one detail could cost you your opportunity. Hello everyone and welcome to U.S. Immigration Intel, your most trusted source for everything related to American immigration, work visas, and building your future in the United States. If this is your first time on our channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell because we bring you critical updates that directly impact your life and career in America. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into a major development that's creating panic and confusion across the H-1B community. Texas and Florida have announced immediate pauses on H-1B hiring in their public universities and state agencies, and the implications are bigger than most people realize. I'm going to break down exactly what happened, separate the facts from the fear, explain who this really affects, and give you a clear action plan moving forward. Let's get started. Let's talk about what actually happened in late January and early February 2026. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order that sent shockwaves through the immigration community. He directed all state agencies and public universities in Texas to immediately freeze new H-1B visa petitions through May 31, 2027. This wasn't a suggestion or a proposal. This was an immediate mandate that took effect right away. Just days after Texas made this announcement, Florida followed with a similar move. The Florida Board of Governors, which oversees the state university system, moved forward with a proposal to prevent university boards from hiring new H-1B employees through January 5, 2027. The timing of these two major states taking action so close together raised immediate questions about whether this is a coordinated effort or the beginning of a trend we might see spreading to other states across America. Now, here's the critical part that's causing massive confusion online, and I need you to understand this clearly because there's a lot of misinformation spreading on social media right now. These are not federal government orders. The United States federal government has not paused H-1B visas nationwide. Let me repeat that because it's extremely important. This is not a national freeze on H-1B visas. What we're dealing with here are state-level actions that apply only to public institutions in Texas and Florida. If you're working for or planning to work for a private company, and I'm talking about companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Oracle, any consulting firm, any private healthcare company, any tech startup, any private employer in any industry, these state orders do not affect you at all. Private companies in Texas, Florida, and every other state across America can continue filing H-1B petitions exactly as they have been doing. The H-1B lottery system hasn't changed. The federal H-1B program is still operating normally. This is specifically about public state-funded institutions in these two states. However, even though this is limited to state institutions, the impact is still very significant. And here's why. Public universities in the United States are major employers of H-1B visa holders. We're talking about thousands of positions every year. Universities hire international professors, postdoctoral researchers, scientists, lab technicians, IT specialists, and various other professionals. The University of Texas system alone is one of the largest university systems in the entire country, with campuses in Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, El Paso, and many other cities. We're talking about tens of thousands of employees across the system. Florida's state university system includes major research institutions like the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida State University in Tallahassee, and the University of South Florida in Tampa. These are significant research universities that conduct groundbreaking work in medicine, engineering, computer science, biotechnology, and countless other fields. Many of these highly specialized research positions have traditionally been filled by H-1B visa holders because finding qualified American candidates with the very specific expertise required is often extremely difficult or sometimes nearly impossible. Let me be very clear about who is affected and who is not affected by these state orders because there's been panic spreading unnecessarily. If you currently hold an H-1B visa and you're already working at a public university or state agency in Texas or Florida, you do not need to panic right now. These pauses apply only to new petitions for new hires. Your visa renewals and extensions are not affected by these orders. If your university or state agency needs to file an H-1B extension for you because your current visa is expiring, they can still do that. This freeze is specifically about new positions and new H-1B petitions that haven't been filed yet. If you were in active discussions or interviews for a position at a Texas or Florida public university and they were planning to sponsor your H-1B visa, that process is now on hold until these moratoriums are lifted, which based on current timelines would be sometime in 2027. Now let's talk about why Texas and Florida are doing this, because understanding the reasoning helps you understand where this might be headed. Governor Abbott released a detailed statement explaining his position. His argument is that the H-1B visa program has been used in ways that disadvantage American workers. His position is that institutions funded by Texas taxpayer money should prioritize hiring American citizens and permanent residents whenever qualified candidates are available. Abbott's office pointed to specific concerns that some state institutions were sponsoring H-1B visas even when Americans with comparable qualifications were applying for the same positions. The underlying philosophy here is economic nationalism. The idea that American institutions, especially those funded with American tax dollars, should put American workers first. Florida officials have echoed very similar sentiments. They're emphasizing their commitment to creating opportunities for American graduates, particularly in fields where they believe there's sufficient domestic talent available. But there's definitely another side to this story, and it's important we look at this issue from multiple perspectives because it's not black and white. University administrators, healthcare system leaders, and research institution directors are pushing back very hard against these restrictions. Their argument is straightforward, and it goes like this. In many highly specialized fields, qualified American candidates simply do not exist in sufficient numbers to fill available positions. Think about cutting-edge research in areas like quantum computing, advanced cancer immunotherapy, artificial intelligence and machine learning, nanotechnology, or highly specialized surgical techniques. The pool of world-class experts in these narrow fields is small and it's global. Top-tier research universities compete internationally to attract the absolute best minds in these fields, and putting arbitrary restrictions on hiring based on nationality can severely damage their ability to remain competitive with universities in other countries. Research and scientific innovation don't respect national borders, and the best research institutions need access to the best researchers regardless of where they were born. The healthcare sector is particularly concerned about these restrictions, and here's why. According to recent data from the Association of American Medical Colleges, approximately 26% of all physicians working in American hospitals are international medical graduates. Many of these doctors entered the United States through visa programs like the H-1B or J-1 visas. The United States already faces a significant and growing shortage of doctors, especially in rural areas and in certain specialties. Places like small towns in Texas, rural Florida, and underserved communities across America struggle tremendously to attract qualified physicians. Restricting the ability of public hospitals and university medical centers to hire international medical professionals could make these shortages even worse and could potentially impact patient care and health outcomes. We saw during the COVID-19 pandemic just how critical international healthcare workers were to America's response. Many of the doctors, nurses, and medical researchers on the front lines were immigrants. Limiting access to this talent pool raises serious questions about healthcare capacity. The technology and innovation ecosystem is also watching these developments very closely. Even though private tech companies aren't directly affected by these specific state orders, here's why they care. Universities play an absolutely crucial role in America's technology leadership and competitive advantage. Much of the fundamental research that eventually leads to commercial innovations and new products happens at universities. Collaborations between university researchers and private companies drive technological advancement and create new industries. If universities in major states like Texas and Florida can't hire the best researchers in the world, it could slow down innovation and potentially give competitive advantages to other countries. China, Canada, European nations, and other countries are actively and aggressively recruiting international talent right now. They're offering competitive salaries, clear pathways to permanent residence, and welcoming environments. If America makes it harder for talented individuals to work here, many of them will simply take their skills and their innovations to other countries that welcome them. Let's talk about the political context here because immigration in America is never just about policy. It's always deeply political. The H-1B visa program has been controversial and hotly debated for many years. It sits right at the intersection of immigration policy, labor economics, worker protection, and American national identity. On one side of the debate, you have critics who argue that the H-1B program is frequently abused by companies seeking cheaper labor and that it artificially depresses wages for American workers in certain industries, particularly in technology and IT. There have been well-documented cases where companies used H-1B workers to replace American employees at lower salaries, and these cases, while not representative of the entire program, have fueled significant skepticism and opposition. On the other side, you have supporters who argue passionately that H-1B visas are absolutely essential for America's economic competitiveness, that they fill genuine skill gaps that cannot be filled domestically, and that restricting skilled immigration will ultimately hurt America's position as the global leader in innovation, technology, and scientific research. Republican-led states like Texas and Florida have generally taken harder stances on immigration issues, both on illegal immigration and increasingly on legal immigration programs as well. These H-1B restrictions fit within a broader political philosophy that emphasizes America First policies and views immigration through a more skeptical and restrictive lens. Democratic-led states and officials tend to be more supportive of skilled immigration programs. They argue that diversity and international talent have historically been among America's greatest strengths and competitive advantages. This deep political divide makes comprehensive immigration reform at the federal level extremely difficult. Without genuine bipartisan cooperation in Congress, we end up with this patchwork of state-level actions that create confusion, uncertainty, and inconsistency across the country. From a legal perspective, states do have authority and control over their own government entities and publicly funded institutions. They can set hiring policies for state agencies, and they can influence and direct policies at public universities that receive state funding. So these executive orders are likely legally valid within their specific jurisdictions. However, it's important to understand that states cannot change federal immigration law. The H-1B visa program itself is a federal program created by federal law and administered by United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, which is a federal agency. States can control whether their own institutions participate in sponsoring H-1B visas, but they absolutely cannot change the fundamental rules of the program. They can't change the cap numbers, and they can't change who's eligible. There's also potential for legal challenges to these state policies if they can be shown to discriminate unfairly, or if they violate other federal laws or constitutional protections, though such legal challenges would need to be brought by affected parties who have proper legal standing. Now let's get extremely practical, because if you're watching this video, you probably care about what this means for you personally and what you should actually do. First and most importantly, do not panic. The vast majority of H-1B visa sponsorship in the United States happens in the private sector, and that entire sector remains completely unaffected by these state actions. Technology companies, consulting firms, financial services companies, healthcare companies, pharmaceutical companies, manufacturing companies, and thousands of other private employers across all 50 states can still sponsor H-1B visas exactly as before. If your career path is in the private sector, your options and opportunities remain essentially unchanged. Second, if you were specifically targeting academic positions at universities, you need to adjust your job search strategy. Instead of focusing your applications on Texas and Florida public universities, broaden your search to include universities in other states. California has an enormous public university system, including world-renowned institutions like UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, and many others that actively hire international talent. New York has SUNY and CUNY systems with dozens of campuses. Massachusetts, Illinois, Michigan, Washington, and many other states have major public research universities that continue to sponsor H-1B visas for qualified candidates. Don't limit yourself only to public universities either. Private universities like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Duke, and hundreds of other private institutions across America are completely unaffected by these state-level restrictions, and they regularly sponsor H-1B visas for faculty positions, postdoctoral positions, research positions, and various staff positions. Third, timing is more critical now than ever before. The H-1B lottery process typically runs in March and April each year. If you're working with an employer who's willing to sponsor you, make absolutely sure that all your documentation is complete, accurate, and in order well before the filing period opens. In the current environment, with increased scrutiny on all forms of immigration, even small mistakes or missing documents can lead to requests for evidence, delays, or outright denials. Seriously consider working with an experienced immigration attorney who specializes in H-1B petitions. Yes, this will cost you money, typically somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000, but it's a worthwhile investment when your entire American dream and career are on the line. A good attorney will review your petition before filing, make sure everything is perfect, and significantly increase your chances of approval. Fourth, explore alternative visa categories because H-1B is not the only pathway to working legally in the United States. If you're currently an international student in America, you can use optional practical training, which gives you 1 year of work authorization. And if you're in a STEM field, you can get a STEM OPT extension for an additional 24 months. That's up to 3 full years of legal work authorization, during which you can gain experience and potentially find an employer willing to sponsor your H-1B or even sponsor you directly for a green card. If you work for a multinational company with offices in the United States and abroad, the L-1 intracompany transfer visa allows you to transfer to the U.S. office. If you have extraordinary ability in your field and can document it with awards, publications, media coverage, or other evidence, the O-1 visa might be an option for you. Some individuals with advanced degrees and exceptional ability qualify for direct green card sponsorship through employment-based categories, particularly EB-2 with national interest waiver if you're working in an area that benefits the United States. Fifth, you absolutely must stay informed and remain flexible because immigration policy in America changes frequently and sometimes changes dramatically. What's true today might be completely different 6 months from now or a year from now. Presidential elections change enforcement priorities. Congressional actions can change laws. Court decisions can overturn policies. Follow reliable, accurate sources for immigration news and updates. U.S. Immigration Intel is committed to bringing you accurate, timely, and actionable information. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel and have notifications turned on so you never miss important updates. Understand that uncertainty is simply part of the immigration journey in America, and the most successful immigrants are those who stay adaptable, who have backup plans, and who don't put all their hopes on just one pathway. Sixth, build your professional network aggressively and strategically in an uncertain and sometimes hostile immigration environment. Having strong professional connections can make all the difference between success and failure. Attend industry conferences, join professional associations in your field, engage actively on LinkedIn, connect with alumni from your university, and build genuine, authentic relationships with people in your industry. Many job opportunities, especially those from employers willing to go through the complex and expensive H-1B sponsorship process, come through networking and personal connections rather than through public job postings. Employers are much more willing to invest time and money in the H-1B process for someone they know, trust, and have worked with rather than a complete stranger. Looking at the bigger picture beyond just your individual situation, these state-level actions tell us something important about the current immigration climate in America. There is significant political will in some states to restrict immigration, including legal skilled immigration through programs like H-1B. This is happening even though the United States faces documented labor shortages in many sectors, and even though immigrants have historically been absolutely crucial to American innovation, entrepreneurship, and economic growth. The disconnect between economic reality and political action creates challenges and obstacles, but it also creates opportunities. States, cities, and employers who continue to welcome international talent will benefit from access to a global talent pool while their competitors restrict themselves to only local options. The H-1B program itself will likely face continued debates and possible reforms in the coming years. There have been various proposals introduced in Congress over the years to change how the lottery system works, to increase or decrease the annual cap numbers, to modify prevailing wage requirements, to change the rules around H-1B dependent employers, and to create new restrictions or new protections. Some proposals would make the program more favorable to workers by ensuring higher wages, better working conditions, and stronger protections against exploitation. Other proposals would restrict the program further and make it harder to qualify. Predicting exactly which direction federal policy will ultimately go is difficult and uncertain, but it's absolutely certain that H-1B will remain a topic of intense political debate for years to come. If this video has been helpful to you, please show your support by giving it a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends, your classmates, your colleagues, or anyone you know who's planning to work in the United States or who's currently navigating the American immigration system. Leave your questions, your experiences, or your thoughts in the comments section below. I read every single comment, and your feedback helps me understand what topics and issues matter most to you, so I can create more helpful content. If you haven't already subscribed to U.S. Immigration Intel, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss critical updates that could impact your American journey. Immigration policy changes quickly, and staying informed can literally make the difference between achieving your dreams and facing disappointment. Thank you so much for watching U.S. Immigration Intel. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay focused on your goals, and never give up on your American dream. I'll see you in the next video.